The biggest mistakes I made as a food broker cost me business, but they also taught me lessons that changed everything for me. Today, I'm breaking down 3 hard lessons I learned about market coverage, execution, and relationships so that you don't have to make the same mistakes. Welcome back, everyone, to the Titans of Food Service. Thank you again for joining me. Okay, I have to ask. It's a selfish ask, but I want to ask anyway. But I have to ask anyway. If you could leave me a 5-star review, that would mean so much to me. Whether you're listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, anywhere you get your podcast, if you can leave me a 5-star review, if you can like, share, comment, subscribe, that you don't understand. Like that goes so far for me. It really means a lot. I'm trying to get this channel out to as many people in this beautiful industry we call food service as I possibly can. And your support and help really goes so far in achieving that goal and that dream of mine. So again, if you could leave me a 5-star review, that would be epic. Thank you. Okay. I'm gonna pick a little bit on food brokers today. That's right. I'm a food broker, so I'm gonna pick on myself and hopefully get a laugh out of it. But hopefully you also learn some valuable lessons, because this is not just for food brokers. This is just for food brands in general, food manufacturers, food distributors, anybody in the food ecosystem. Okay. Hard truth. Food brokers, sometimes we overpromise and underdeliver. Sometimes we do it all the time, depending on the food broker. I know this because I've been there. I've been in this business for 10 years now, solely as a food broker. I know exactly how these conversations go with manufacturers. I know the talking points. I've been there. I've done that. I've learned the hard way. If you promise something, let me tell you, my friend, you better do it. You better deliver, or better get close to it. Or if you can deliver, pivot and give a good reason why, and find something that's equally as beneficial to the manufacturer so that you can continue that relationship forward. So I'm going to share on this episode 3 major mistakes that I've made as a broker, and maybe maybe you'll see it'll translate to you and how it has affected your life or professional life in food service sales. So I'm going to share 3 major mistakes, what they cost me, and the lessons that I learned and how I use those to turn around my business. So the first one is not understanding and not having enough market coverage. I remember when we first started out, in the first 2 or 3 years of our business, we got this, once in a lifetime partnership with a national broadliner. It was a game changer. Everyone was high-fiving each other. It was so exciting. It was exhilarating, but we knew deep down we're a small company. We didn't have enough people to service, the needs of this gigantic national broadliner. It was a dream opportunity, but what? Little Portillo sales and marketing? Good luck, dude. I don't think so. It's going to be super hard to do it. And we realized pretty early on, almost instantly, that we didn't have the reach or the team size. We definitely didn't have the commissionable resources, aka dollars, to hire more people to be able to service it. And because of that, we were stretched too thin. We're trying to keep up with the demands of this national broadliner. We were trying to continue to build our business. We're trying to maintain the relationships with the manufacturers that we had and the other distributors in the marketplace. We just weren't, and it was just the wrong time. It really was. We were stretched too thin. We said, yes, we can do it. We've got this. We're all in. We're super excited. But you know what? In the end, we had to walk away. It was too big. And we knew that going in. It cost us clients. It hurt our reputation a little bit in the industry for a little bit. Lesson learned, market coverage is crucial. If maybe you're in a food service manufacturer role, you have to look at the size team that you have and the reach that you have. When you fly in, let's say you're living in Idaho and you fly in to make a presentation in Texas, realistically, are you going to be able to follow up with that operator or that opportunity or that distributor that you just met with? Are you promising to them things that you can't deliver on? Sometimes providing less is a lot more, building that trust. Building that relationship and that rapport goes a long way than saying, yeah, we can do this and we can do this and we can do that and we can do all these things over here as well. And knowing darn well you can't. As soon as you leave that meeting, you're going to have to enter in your calls into the CRM system. You have to start following up with emails. You're putting out this fire over here. You got to answer that question over there. Do you really have the bandwidth? Think about it. Sometimes under promising or not promising at all is maybe might be a better way to do it. That's the lesson that I have learned is, hey, let's level set. I'm not going to promise you the world. I'm going to tell you what I can or cannot do and just be upfront about it. And then you could take it or leave it from there. And a lot of times they still take it. Mistake number 2 was failing to execute a client sales plan. I mean, in the broker business, if you think about the main functions of a broker, achieve the sales plan, introduce new innovation. I mean, sales, baby. That's the business we're in. We're building the brand, execute the plan, build the brand, and report back successes and market intelligence, those types of things. Failing to execute a sales plan for a client, I mean, it's common. It happens. Here's a good example. 2019, we got this great brand. It was a protein company, fantastic products. I mean, super innovative what they were doing. And they had business out in our marketplace. And we said, we could take that business. We're going to grow it. Now, they had declining sales. So we not only had to build a strategy to grow the business, we also had to have a strategy to stop the bleeding as well. So two different parts, two different things happening simultaneously. And you know what? We said, we can do it. We're going to go all in. You're our biggest client. This is going to be great. They look to us to fix their problems. They look to us to grow their business. And we just didn't have the horsepower to do it. We just didn't have the team and the market coverage and the size to be able to do it. We failed to execute the sales plan. This is not something that's novel to a food broker either. It happens all across food service sales. It happens, let me say this, it happens in every single sales industry where we say, yeah, I can do that. And then you don't, or there's a plan set out in front of you and you get sidetracked, or you go on tangents, or you just don't have the bandwidth or whatever it is, and you don't fulfill the sales plan. That's how you get terminated. That's how you build a bad reputation. So sometimes the lesson learned is, hey, we need to make sure that we have the right team in place to be able to achieve the sales plans of our clients. We need to define who are our core customers. As a broker, I can't just take every single food brand under the sun that calls my number. I can't do that. It would stretch me out way too thin. We need to focus our efforts instead of spreading ourselves too thin onto the brands that actually make sense for us. It's the same thing on the manufacturing side and the distributing side. I can go out and get 1,000 customers, but maybe sometimes having the right 10 customers can outdo what 1,000 can do. You'd be surprised. And you know what? At the end of the day, you may not feel as overwhelmed as well. As execution, it's not just about effort. It's not just about being loud and passionate. It's about having the right strategy and the right resources in place to make sure that you can achieve it. And then the third mistake that I've learned from is not wow, here we go. Just fumbling the words. Any word longer than like 4 letters. You ever those days like it's just like it's hard to say these words. Not prioritizing the right relationships. When we started Portillo Sales and Marketing, we were nimble. Woo, we were nimble. We're fast. We could move so fast, but we weren't focusing on strategic account relationships. So because we didn't do that, it was harder to deliver results. It was harder to bring on bigger clients, and it took longer to build our reputation. It's a lot easier to go to your mom and pops, in your local neighborhood and go show them products. Their barrier to entry is a lot smaller. They're, if they're only going to buy 2 cases a week, it's not a huge commitment. But if I'm going to go out there and spend time selling, I need to spend time on the right relationships. I'm not saying their mom and pops are not important. They're critically important to the communities that they're in. But on the sales side, we need to move pounds. We need cases to be flowing and churning within distribution. Super, super important. I got to go find strategic accounts. I got to find restaurant chains, large casinos, large hospitality venues, large entertainment venues, so on and so forth. places that can buy my product in large volumes. That's where I need to focus my time. When we first started out, we were anybody and everybody, we'd call on all of them. And we found over time that's just not sustainable, because a lot of times our teams would start to take the easier route and go towards the smaller opportunities because they were easier, faster wins. It made you feel good when you can knock out a few of them all within a short period of time. But the longer ones, the bigger ones, take longer periods of time. Like, prioritize your time there. They may take longer. They may be more difficult. The language that they're speaking is more elevated. They're talking about logistics and pricing and rebates and all these types of things, but it pays off. I'm telling you, that's a big mistake we made early on, is not having those big relationships. So again, you don't need relationships with everyone. You just need the right ones. So how these relationships, how they changed our business. The best brokers, they don't just sell, they build trust. They build trust with you as a manufacturer, or you as a distributor, or you as an operator. And trust comes from consistently delivering on what you promise, not getting stretched too thin, understanding who my core customer is, understanding the capabilities of myself as a human, understanding the capabilities of my company. Those types of things. That's how you build trust, is when you deliver on what you promise. So some actionable takeaways for brokers or for sales reps, anybody in the food service industry who are on the sales or marketing sides: be realistic. Align your execution strategy with your resources. Invest in relationships that truly drive sales. So, to recap: market coverage, execution, and relationships. If you get these wrong, I'm telling you, you're probably going to struggle. If you get them right, you're going to build a business that clients can trust and depend on. I'm telling you, I've seen it firsthand. I've been doing this now for 10 years. My first 5 are drastically different than my last 5. I would take my last 5 over the first five any day of the week. So my challenge to you as the listener: have you ever worked with a broker? Now, let's not point out the broker. Okay, we'll be nice on the brokers. Have you ever been in a position where you've overpromised or underdelivered, or made one of these mistakes yourself? If so, I'd love to hear your story. Leave me a comment, shoot me a note, whatever. I'd love to learn more. I'm a student of the game. Thank you again for listening. And if you could leave me a 5-star review, that would truly mean the world. Whether you're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcast, 5-star review would be amazing. Until next week, I'll see you.